Let's talk about the confidential settlement agreement that Nicole Arbor says Jelly Roll and Bunnie XO sent her. My name is Paige Sparks. I'm a lawyer. I don't know the underlying claims. I don't know anything about the situation. I just want to talk about the confidential settlement agreement she posted on her page. You don't get to see that a lot because usually it's confidential. I never get to share confidential settlement agreements with you guys because my clients sign them. It's confidential and we can't share it. So I want to use this moment to point out a couple normal things in this agreement that are standard and then a couple things I think are a little questionable. The first page is pretty standard. You always want to define the parties. This is the real name for Jelly Roll and Bunnie XO. And then what I found weird is that I guess Nicole did redact the payment provision in paragraph 2.0. Don't know why. I'm wondering why. It doesn't look like 6 figures fits in that redacted spot. Maybe like a 5-figure settlement. Section 3 on the next page for the mutual waiver and release of all claims. This is pretty standard in any settlement agreement. Most parties will negotiate for mutual release of all claims just so there's no further litigation after this is resolved. Something interesting to me, I'm a lawyer in Missouri. This looks like there's a specific California law that says people cannot release claims that they don't know about. I think that's a great law. I wish every state had it because most of the time in other states, including my state, Missouri, the parties are releasing any and all claims whether they know of them or not. There's a specific social media takedown part on page 4 if you want to look at Nicole's page. It lists out every video they allegedly want removed. Next is the confidentiality paragraph. This is very standard. It's normal. I always try to get mutual confidentiality if we're going to agree to that. Most entities will not pay unless there's some kind of confidentiality involved. They also want the right to deny any wrongdoing. They're not going to enter into agreement if they don't get those two things. Paragraph 6, the response for inquiry into any potential claims is pretty standard. Most of the time, the agreed upon language will be like the matter has been resolved or no comment. That looks pretty standard to me. What's not standard is paragraph 8 on page 5 for the remedies for breach. They have liquidated damages in here. I want everyone to remember that phrase. It's a huge red flag. Liquidated damages are not exactly standard or normal. Paragraph 8.1.1 is only written to be against Nicole as I read it, and it's not mutual. Red flag number 1. The second part is it says for each material breach of this agreement, so talking about confidential things that she's not supposed to talk about, for example, for each material breach, she shall be liable and obligated to pay Bunnie and Jelly Roll the amount equivalent to the initial payment she received, or they can seek additional damages against her if it's something like defamation, for example. This is extremely predatory. I almost never allow my clients to agree to a liquidated damages paragraph unless it's mutual or there's some kind of reason why we do want it in there. I don't like how that's written, and if I was Nicole's lawyer, I'd be like, hell no. Another reason I don't like the specific liquidated damages paragraph is because most of the time when we see these, it's going to be like $5,000 per proven breach for liquidated damages. It's not going to be repayment of the entire amount for each breach. Let's say she got $50,000 to sign this agreement. She breaches confidentiality by saying something on TikTok. If she does it 5 times, that's $50,000 a pop. I don't like that for a client if I was the lawyer. As this is currently written, it could be very easy for her to owe a lot more than she was even paid to begin with. The rest of this confidential settlement agreement does look pretty standard to me. There's a mutual non-disparagement part where the parties agree they won't say anything bad or defamatory about the other. And I also want to talk about page 9. This is the miscellaneous terms or other section. Think of it like we're throwing the kitchen sink into the rest of the contract. Here's where we'll talk about this is the entire agreement, the governing law that controls any breach action under the contract if one has to sue the other, that this was a negotiated contract. That way, if part of it's unenforceable, it can't be just construed against the other party. They're agreeing they both contributed to writing it. You always want to carefully review the miscellaneous section because most of the time it will just have kind of housekeeping paragraphs like an electronic signature counts as a signed ink signature, but you always want to read and make sure you don't just skim over those terms in case they're sneaking something in. I'm super interested in whatever's going to come out of the situation, especially because Nicole Arbor has not revealed what her claims or issues are yet in detail, and I did a lot of research online trying to see, and I can't tell or find anything. So I'll follow this, let you know if I hear of anything. This is just my thoughts on the alleged confidential settlement agreement she was offered. Comments, let me know what you think.